Hey guys, and welcome back to another YouTube video. Probably going to be a short one, this one, just getting through the Freo versus Sydney game. To be honest with you, you got to give the Freo boys and the supporters the big respect they deserve for even fronting up for that game and the support they gave after the events that unfolded on, Thursday night and into the Friday morning after learning the passing of Cam McCarthy. It's a tough time to be a support. Well, for those who support Freo, I know it's a tough time to support them, and you could just tell with the players that they played with a lot of emotion, and you have to give them the respect for that. And I think that emotion just caused some mistakes that were just half a pace off, and I think in the goal kicking that truly did show with the 4 goals 15 and sort of 5 out of bounds on the full. But you just gotta give the Freo boys praise, including the likes of the older ones when Fife and Pearce, just for fronting up and even playing after the events that unfolded. I mean, I wouldn't be able to do that, to be honest. So yeah, for them to even front up, and yes, they probably didn't have their best game, both of them, but they still turned up and they put in a fair effort. So it was quite a tough one to watch, to be honest, because I was really happy that the Swans obviously won, but I could understand the circumstances in which occurred. And I think if Freo hadn't had the passing of Cam, I think they probably would have gotten within 10, 15 points of us. I think that's how much it did impact them, as he was so close to them. So yeah, just thought I'd start the video with that, and let's get into the recap. So I thought Jeremy Sharp had a pretty good game no matter what. I think his last quarter, including 2 goals and just a lot of chump possessions on the wing, thought he did pretty well. Thought Caleb Serong did his usual best, but the problem with Caleb Serong at the moment, and you can see here, he did all of it now when the game was actually there to be won, and that's why he did score so well. But the problem with Caleb Serong is that he gets it out, and then what? And that's the whole problem with Freo's midfield at the moment, and I'm not going to slag them off for this game or anything like that because of all the circumstances around it. But I think that's one thing for the whole season as a whole that I think I've seen with Freo, is there is a disconnect, it seems like, between the whole lines of the forwards, the midfielders and defenders. And it seems like they're all trying to do a different thing, and that's why it doesn't seem to be clicking. But when it does click, it clicks so well that it's almost unplayable. It just seems like there's almost a different strategy between Fremantle's backline and Fremantle's midfield, and that's why the forwards aren't getting the connectivity that they need. And I think that with Serong's sort of contested possession, I just think they need a line breaker in that midfield. And I don't see it with Fife, I don't see it with Hayden Young, and I don't see it really with Brayshaw. They need... And I know it's going to be quite not the best analysis, but I think a guy like Chad Warner would do so well in that Freo midfield. He would just open the game up so much for them. And they don't seem to have that, because Brayshaw more is a defensive side type of guy. He's not really that sort of line breaker. Fife is honestly probably almost past it, and he is just sort of that contested beast. And then you've got Hayden Young, who sort of is turning into a sort of Fife. And yes, Hayden Young did kick a couple last week, but that Freo midfield, I think, has something like 10 goals between them in the whole season so far. I wouldn't be surprised if it's even less than that. I'll search it up. Fremantle goal kickers 2024, and I think it is somewhere around that. It might even be less than that from the Freo midfield, less than 10 goals. They've got Hayden Young on 3, Fife on 2, Aiden Brayshaw on 2, and that's it. So that is 7 goals from their midfield in the season so far. 7 goals from 9 games from 4 different guys. So yeah, I think that is just the main difference with Fremantle at the moment, is just they don't have a goal-kicking midfield, and I think that is the way of the future. To be honest with you, line breakers and also goal-kicking midfielders is the way that the game is trending. Aish I thought was alright, Brayshaw was alright. I just don't get this Ryan scoring 55 in the last, and the thing I just don't like about it is that he actually impacts the game nothing whatsoever. And the funny thing was, the AFL rated him the best player on the ground, and anyone who watched that game knows that he was not the best player on the ground at all. Nowhere close to it. So yeah, I just don't get, and there's so many countless clips of him basically just kicking it between the back 50, just kicking it to open men. And that's about all that he did the last quarter for his 55. It was 12 kicks and 5 marks or something, or 13 kicks and 5 marks. And that's all that he did. So I just don't get how you can rate him so highly, especially in a dead game at that point. Sort of a game that was gone. And he gets 55 in the last quarter. Yes, at efficiency, but he was not impacting the game at all. And he was basically passing it off to people to create the turnover. He was not taking the game on at all. He just didn't want to take it on. And yeah. And I think that the way to get rid of that is just getting rid of this 40-meter effective kick. I think that will take away a lot of what Luke Ryan does, as he ends up with huge amount of turnovers. But because he's kicked it over 40, that's usually where the disposal efficiency would plummet for him, and I think that would really take away from his Supercoach score. He ended up with a 111 when he was on about 55 at three-quarter time. So yeah, I just don't understand the rating there for him. Hayden Young had a shocker in terms of efficiency, 81. He's sort of there or thereabouts. I think he just came up against a team that really didn't help with him, the style that he likes to play and stuff. So yeah, I thought that you have these type of down games. Walker Jackson did basically nothing. It was kind of surprising in the second half that his game just sort of turned off. As it was on 50 at halftime and tracking well, so that kind of sucks. But I mean, fantasy season for me is gone, and I still think he's sort of in around top 8 to 10 in the forwards for Supercoach, but definitely not fantasy wise. Johnson, Switkowski, Chapman, 5 out of 58, gave away 6 free kicks, which sort of basically killed him off. If he hadn't given away 6 free kicks, that's a 76, and a 76 actually isn't that bad. Bamfield Clark got absolutely clamped up, and that's why he did nothing. And basically all of this was just taking kickouts. I think from memory, I think he had 2 or 3 kickouts at least. So 2 or 3 kickouts is 9 points. Or so, I think. Let me just quickly scroll down to him. Jordan Clark, all game, he had, 3 kick-ins, and all of them played on. So yeah, that's where he scored all his points, and I can check when they were. I believe they were in the third. 1 in the third and 2 in the fourth, I'm going to say, is when he got them. But yeah, he just did everything in the second half. Basically a 41 second half. James Jordan dropped the tag and still beat him in disposals. And almost kicked a goal as well. Did the likes of James Jordan. So I just think he's been influential. And yeah, you can even see with the likes of Luke Ryan, he had 6 kick-ins and 5 play-ons. So he had 15 points from kick-ins. And I wouldn't be surprised if it was more like 40 points in general. Then we can basically not talk about the rest of Fremantle. And then Ollie Florent, 135, he did a lot of his work in the last, second half. Well, it was sort of an even spread for him, to be honest. But yeah, a lot of work late on when the game was sort of dead. He just sort of got a couple of cheap possessions there as the Swans were kicking it back and forth. I think Lloyd had something similar. But watch his stats show that he was doing it a lot in the first. You can see a little bit of dead possession time here, as well as just a lot of disposals here in the second. So he's been all right, and I think this will coincide Parker coming in for Roberts, as I think Roberts can get a rest now that he's been sort of playing wing. Heaney, 106, he did his job and was pretty even throughout, probably looking at 2 or 3 votes, depending on how they view Chad Warner's game, even because Chad Warner kicked 2 and Heaney didn't kick a goal. Chad Warner in 98, which is all right. He's sort of the impact player. He's never really going to score those outlandish scores. He's sort of going to average 100, but he's going to have those 120, 130 games and those sort of 80, 70 games where he doesn't have much of an impact. Blakey, very, very similar. Not up there with the top line of the Supercoach and Fantasy guys, but when he's on, he's on. And this was one of those games where he was really on, and he passed his concussion tests from all reports. Gordon, 95, he's just really taken a back seat this year as Heaney sort of taken up the brunt of the scoring. Grundy, Cunningham, McInerney, I've been really, really surprised about and really, really happy that he's really taken the next step and is a massive utility piece. Can be used on a wing, can be used as a small forward, can be used as a running half-back, and has spent some time in the middle. I think he reverts back to a wing role now that Parker is most likely coming back in, and basically just takes what the spot that Roberts was sort of using now that we have Lloyd and stuff back. We've sort of got that back six back, what it was 2023. So, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if McInerney and Gordon sort of make that back sort of 8 the same. And the midfield is the only real change from last year, to be honest with you. Then we go down. Rowbottom did his usual thing, sort of that guy that's just going to average 80s. Very much a Willem Drew from last year type of player. Haywood, Francis. Francis got a lot of dead possession at the end there. Two marks here to end the game, as well as another sort of cheap-ish sort of switcher play. Just that last sort of, not to the level of Luke Ryan, but sort of similar type of just getting cheap possessions, and did boost his score up. Didn't think he had necessarily the greatest game. I understand the merit for him getting selected over the likes of a Will Edwards, but I probably would have liked to have seen a Will Edwards play, given that I don't think Francis, when you actually watch the game, had too much of an impact on the game. But anyway, there's that. And I'll double check what his actual AFL.com. I want to see what was his rating for the game, because I don't think it was necessarily up there with the greatest, but watch him have a pretty good rating now that I've said that. Where is he? 6.7. So that's, I believe Jordan Clark was the 18th worst. So that is 19th worst. So yeah, he was there or thereabouts. And I wouldn't be surprised if he didn't have those sort of cheap last quarter. He probably is up and down and around this sort of range here with Rampy and stuff. So yeah, I think he was just serviceable as a 4th or 5th key defender sort of option, depth option, but he's not really the guy that you want on field. Amadi, James Jordan had a really good game, even though it doesn't probably show it. Let's just see here, what was his game rated? Let's just see. He's rated up there in sort of the top, I would say that's about 20. So yeah, he had a pretty good game and just snuffed the likes of a Jordan Clark, and they play Carlton next week, so I don't know who he'll necessarily go to. He may go to the likes of a Blake Acres or something like that. Or he may go to, I don't think he'll go to, he could actually go to a Walsh, which would be annoying, Supercoach-wise, but the job needs to get done, I guess. McLean, McDonald, Adams, Papley, Rampy, Wicks, Roberts had a really poor game, and yeah, he's just on the outer, I think, at the moment. I think now they can afford to rest him this game, as I don't think his impact is really as noticeable anymore as he was in the first couple games. Melican and then Fox as the sub. So yeah, that's basically the video there, going through the Freo versus Sydney game and how I think my expectations of what the Swans lineup is almost changing weekly. And yeah, I think Roberts is now just, it could be a rest game for him to get Parker back in, as I think they're overloaded on the wing and half back line, and they could use another forward up there, or potentially Parker 20% on ball. So, and I think you got to get Parker back in. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if Roberts or Wicks. I've been calling Wicks as the one that's probably going to get a rest, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's Roberts this week that gets a rest over the likes of a Wicks. And yes, that basically is the video, and I'll see you guys in the recaps tomorrow, which will be the St Kilda Hawthorn game, the GWS play. Who do they play? If it will load? Man, it's been so slow today. GWS play Essendon, and then you've also got the Richmond Western Bulldogs game, which we'll do, and then you'll have the 3 games on the Monday that will recap on the Monday there as well. So that basically is the video, and I'll see you guys in the next ones. Bye guys.